little smoke to start with. Come on in. We allow you to stand on the grass. It's okay.
We promise we will not shoot you.
Well,
Deliberately.
Deliberately. We will shoot you deliberately. Now, just so you are aware, we will be pointing and firing towards the fort, so don't get on that side of us. But you're welcome to stand out here. Okay? Come on up. Come on. For the gun demo. Guns throughout the agent. Yeah, this is the bit where all the big shooty parts go off, so this is the place to be.
The big shooty part already went off.
Well, yeah, we're the multiple little shooty parts, right? How are you doing my side of the street, dude?
No, you wouldn't put it up over.
I remember, right? This whole demonstration is your fault in the first place.
Yeah, you're remembering right. It was my idea for good or for bad. All right. We'll go ahead and get things kind of started. And as people come in, hopefully then they can join in if they want. So, today in this demonstration, we're going to discuss the changing technology of firearms over the years. All right, we've got representatives from several different time periods. Each of them, in their own turn, are going to take their opportunity to step up here and explain what you think from their standpoint, so that you can see the change in transactions over time. Okay? I'm going to start with just a little bit of an introduction here before I actually start talking about the weapon, a little broad angled stuff. To start with, there are 3 components to every firearm. Okay? And even in late periods, ultimately, it still breaks down to the same basic 3 components. There is the lock, or the firing mechanism. Okay? That's the part that changes the most over time. Okay, there's the stock, which is the wooden part here in this case, the part that makes it into a long arm weapon. And then there's the barrel, which in purely technical terms is the shooting bit. Okay? Now, if some of you may have heard the term having the lock, stock, and barrel, meaning that you have the entire thing, this is the source of it. Okay? Because if you have the 3 components, the lock, stock, and the barrel, you have the whole gun. All right? Now that I've explained that the firing mechanism is the lock, then the explanation that this is a matchlock means that it uses a burning match to fire the weapon. Locks that uses flint to fire the weapon. Right? That's where these names come from. It's all about that the lock is the firing mechanism. Now, this matchlock here is from a time period roughly around the 1500s. I'll get my time here right in a moment. Gunpowder has been in Europe since the 1300s. So the soldier of my time period has already known about gunpowder for a long time. It's been around a couple hundred years. This isn't new. But the form of powder has always been those big pieces of artillery. Okay? This is the beginning of what we would classify as the first man-portable gunpowder weapons. Now, again, not to say this is the only time this has appeared. It used to be initially that we had literally hand cannons. It was a cannon barrel about this big on a piece of wood. It took 2 people to fire. One guy would hold it and brace the wood up under his arm, and the next person stood there with the match on the stick and touched the barrel just like firing the cannon if you watch the cannon firing demo, but on a smaller scale. By the time this weapon comes along, now one man can do the entire priming, firing, everything process, carry all of the components himself in battle. So this was revolutionary. And just to answer the other questions before we get more into the gun, yes, I am a soldier. I'm a mercenary soldier called Landsknecht from the 16th century. And if you called me a jester in that time period, I'd have stabbed you for the insult, so don't do it. Okay? All right, which one of you shot yourselves? I knew one of you did. All right, so let me explain how this weapon works, and then I will do a firing demonstration for you, all right? So this weapon, I cannot get to the back of the barrel. It's sealed off. So I have to load through this end. I'm going to put powder down the barrel. Now, if I was in a real combat situation, I would take a solid ball or solid shot, which I have an example of here, like this. Okay. And I would put down the barrel next. That puts that in front of the powder. All right, so that's down in here. Then I have a pan where I would put loose powder. In the barrel, right beside this pan, is a very small hole that goes the entire way through the barrel. When I ignite the powder in the pan, the explosion goes through the hole, sets off the main charge, forces the ball down the length of the barrel and out towards the bad guy. All right? In principle, that's how it works, very simple. So, what is the ignition source? What is it that makes it work? This piece of rope. Now, this is not just any piece of rope. This is called a match, which, by the way, again, if you've seen the artillery demonstration, they're using it too. They've got a larger version, but it's exactly the same thing. This match is a slow match. This is not just cord. This has nitrates in it. That allows it to burn at a different pace, hopefully slower, so I don't burn it up so fast on the battlefield. But it also allows it to not have an actual flame on it. When I light this, the end of this will look like the end of a cigar. Red hot embers on it. And in fact, because of the nitrates effect, I could breathe on it, blow on it directly, and it will heat it up even more, be more effective. So when I go to fire, you'll see me blow on it just before I pull the trigger to make sure it's working at its best function. All right? Now, I am not a chemist. I am a soldier in the battlefield in the 1500s. How do I get nitrates into a piece of rope? Well, yeah, I know you know. Well, it's real easy. I'm going to take any piece of rope that I can find, I'm going to coil it up in a bucket, and I'm going to get all the guys in the unit to pee in the bucket. Because the human body produces an awful lot of nitrates. All right? Tomorrow morning, after it's thoroughly soaked all night, I'm going to lay this out, and I'm going to make sure I lay it out flat, because if I hang it this way, all the nitrates run to one end, and that's worse too. That doesn't work very well. So I'm going to let it dry thoroughly, and once all the liquid has evaporated, I've got match. Now, of course, there's better ways to do it and things, but that is a functional way you can make it happen on the battlefield, all right? So with that in mind, I will go through the firing demonstration. One other thing I want to point out, this weapon, for the time period, was very powerful. Remember, swords, spears, plate armor, these are the weapons and defenses of the time period. So this thing that is one of the few weapons on the battlefield that can actually go through solid steel. This is impressively effective and powerful. However, it's offset by the slow speed of it, and also by the fact that, look at me, I have loose powder everywhere on me. These are my chargers. This is how I reload. This is my loose powder for my pan. I'm carrying a burning match at all times. Usually both ends are burning, and every time I fire it, I fire sparks everywhere. If I don't close one of these well, I just became a human bomb in my own lines. These guys aren't happy about being close to me with the heavens, right? So needless to say, the handgunner was not necessarily the most loved soldier in his army. However, when 50 or 100 of us can open up and cut a big swath through the enemy block, they're a little bit more respectful of our existence anyways, if not liking us. All right? So, and that being said, I just only kind of loosely mentioned this. These are chargers. Each one of these are wooden. They're drilled out to hold just enough powder for a single shot. I carry roughly 10 to 12 of these on me, because any more than that, for the period and the quality of black powder, the gun's going to be fouled up anyways and not be able to function anymore. So carrying the extra weight is just wasted. All right? Now, because there is roughly 10 to 12 of these, on the battlefield, many of the soldiers nicknamed these the apostles. because they have been known to save our soul on the battlefield. Okay? So, with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and do a demonstration. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to have to light my match. Now, no soldier worth his weight is going to go on the battlefield without this lit. It's not like I can just go, hey, somebody throw me a lighter, right? So I'm going to have to light this off with a fire or off a candle or a lantern or something, and I'm going to have to make sure that it's burning constantly while I'm gone. This actually ends up being the most expensive part of being a handgunner in this time period. I burn through match all the time, much regularly than I'm actually burning through powder. Guard duty is a bear. I have to sit here all night with this burning, never firing a shot, but being prepared in case I have to. It is said that in the 1500s, garrison duty, the most expensive aspect of garrison duty was match. Alright? So, unlike my 1500s counterpart, I am going to cheat and use a fairy box. Yes, my friends love me. Good luck, I'm way over there. Yeah. Alright, the other thing that I'm going to do different is when I load, I'm not going to actually put one of those balls in here. Okay? The fort really likes to keep its neighbors happy. And blowing holes through the neighbors' yards and houses and dogs and everything is not a way to keep the neighbors happy. Alright? So instead, when I do load this, I will be using just a wad of paper. Okay? So, I know you can't see it from back there, but this is lit. The only way I can really see that it's lit is there's smoke coming off of it, and I'm starting to get ash on it, just like a cigarette does. But when I blow on it, it becomes red hot. Alright, so when I'm loading this, I have to hold the match in my left hand because I'm going to be loading loose powder with my right, and never the twain shall meet unexpectedly. So I'm holding it here. The whole design of these is to be one-handed. I pop it, pour it down in, release it. I'm done with that. I would then normally carry the actual shot in this small pouch here. So instead, I'm just going to use this wad of paper and put it in for the ball. Okay, and then pack it all down in tight to give the breast compression that I can. Now while I'm going through this, I'm going slower than a soldier would. For one reason, I want you to see it, and for another, I don't want to blow up. And I don't actually have somebody attacking me trying to kill me right now. However, remember as I go through all these steps, on the battlefield, the soldiers are doing each of these steps under the duress of being under fire, being charged by the enemy, all that sort of stuff. So there you go. And they still manage to get up to 2 shots per minute with this, which, if you know anything about rate of fire with weapons, that's pretty dang impressive for all the stuff I'm going through, all right? So I've loaded this. I now have to put powder in the pan. So I'm going to turn this way since I'm now arming it. I'm still holding my match off to one side. I bring my loose powder up. I pop, okay, in that case that'll work too. I pop this loose. And put powder in the pan. Now I always have to take care to make sure that I put all the lids back on everything. See previous comment about bomb. Right. And I put the cover back on it. Now, I'm finally ready to put the match back on. Now with the artillery, their match is on a stick because nobody wants your hand right down here where this explosion is going to go off. But with the handgun, we've decided that we've mounted on this hammer. Now the cover is still on it, but I'm going to squeeze to make sure, yes, it's going right into the pan where I want it to be. Now, after all that, I'm finally ready to give fire. Okay? So, when I'm ready to actually open up, I pull open the pan cover, pull the trigger, and just barely miss the powder. One of the disadvantages of the match, if I have not placed it just right, and in this case the match was just a little too short and it didn't actually reach the pan. Oh yeah, the bad guys are getting closer, remember that. Okay, I think we're gonna go this time. It's still too short.
This is making up for yesterday, Roger.
This is making up for yesterday. Yesterday I had the perfect shot and everybody else jammed, so. Round three, let's see if we can get it to go this time. Now, despite all the little hassle you saw, the actual part is it's very persistent. As long as I can touch the powder with the match, it's going to go off. Right? I don't generally tend to have some of the misfires that you'll see in later periods, and also wind is not a problem for me. I blow on it to heat it up. If I get a wind, the match I'm not worried about. Rain, not so crazy about that. However, to be perfectly honest, wind and rain bothers me more because of the powder. I have a nice wind coming, it's not going to blow out the match, but it's just going to blow the powder out of my pan, right? So there's definite disadvantages on the battlefield, so it's not exactly the greatest thing, but you saw the firepower potential of it. Okay? So with that,